I think most normal people, even today, envision a graffiti artist as just some teenager with a skateboard and a hoodie, wearing a balaclava with a backpack full of paint, raising some hell. But there's a lot more to doing graffiti than most people realize. So today we're talking about the things that you need for graffiti that people do not tell you about. Now, a lot of these things are actually mostly for the graffiti artist's safety. We're not talking about the markers or paints here that you need as a graffiti artist. If you're interested in that, you can check out the top 5 essential graffiti markers for street tagging that you need. We did that video recently. It'll be in the cards for you to check out there or in the description. But let's get right into it. Number 5. Number 5 is something that a lot of street taggers in particular employ, and it also happens to be what you wear if you are the Giga Chad of fashion, a fanny pack. Yeah, you heard me, a fanny pack. And the reason these are used among street taggers so much in particular is because there is no more convenient way to store all your markers and have them easily accessible for when you need them to rock a tag on something. These allow the graffiti writer to quickly grab whatever marker or graffiti mop they need for the spot to get in and out quickly. Number 4, can magnets. Can magnets, for those of you who don't know, are basically just magnets that go on the bottom of your spray cans to stop the mixing balls from making noise. Obviously, whether you are just rocking a tag, a throw, or a piece, you don't want to attract any attention to yourself as a graffiti artist or writer in a high traffic environment. Now, can magnets actually aren't too popular among graffiti artists in some circles at least, and that's mainly due to 2 reasons. Number 1 being you actually need a fairly strong magnet to keep the mixing ball glued to the bottom of the can. And they can actually be really hard to find, even to the point where a lot of graffiti sites don't stock can magnets. I don't really know why that is. Maybe it's because magnets are a little bit hard to transport, but they can be quite hard to find. And the second reason is that nowadays not all mixing balls in graffiti spray paints or any spray paints are metal. There are still some, obviously, but some are switching over to plastic for cost efficiency purposes. But they are still employed by a lot of graffiti artists and writers, and for those who are employing them, do not forget to shake your cans ahead of time. You don't want a mid-mission can clogging right when you're trying to do an outline on a piece. Number 3. This one is very situational, but almost all graffiti writers painting on trains in the yard will bring either a crate or a collapsible ladder to help them get higher on the trains that they're benching. Now, a crate is sort of nice because it can double as something to carry your spray paint in. A collapsible ladder, though, is usually a little bit easier to carry and of course can give you a much better height advantage. Obviously though, like I said, very situational. Those are only used by any graffiti artists or writers who are looking to paint trains in the yard. Number 2. Now, number 2 is something that goes over a lot of people's heads, and when I say a lot of people, I mean normal non-graffiti artists as well as graffiti writers. And it has to do with those big rooftop missions, billboard spots, heaven spots, subway train spots. And it is something crucial that all graffiti artists, graffiti crews need if they are going to pull off a mission in any of those environments. And this might sound cliche, but what it is a plan. Just make a plan, you know? It's sort of acceptable for people who are external to graffiti to not really understand how much planning and precision goes into billboard, painting spots, heaven spots, something like that, because they've never had to consider how they would do something like that. But it's especially important for graffiti artists specifically to understand how much planning and coordination goes into painting any kind of heaven spot or transit train, anything like that. If you watch any video of like a bullet train being painted, it's pretty clear that they thought of everything ahead of time. Whether that be the supplies they needed to get into the actual train station or yard, who is doing what on the train, how they're going to leave, it's all been very precisely thought out. But the number 1 most important thing that you can bring along with you if you're a graffiti artist or writer in almost any environment, and this gets neglected a lot of the time, is a freaking good pair of shoes. And no, I'm not talking about your nicest dress shoes, obviously. I'm talking about a pair of shoes that you can actually move around in. A good pair of trainers or running shoes can actually really probably be the most effective way a graffiti artist or writer can keep themselves safe out there. Whether it protects you while you're climbing something or aids you in making, let's say, a speedy and unexpected exit from somewhere. Good footwear is truly, in my opinion, a necessary part of a graffiti artist or writer's kit who is doing any kind of serious graffiti. I myself have a pair of like paint shoes because you are going to get paint on them obviously, but I wear those when I'm pretty much doing any kind of painting whatsoever. Word of advice, darker shoes are usually a bit better. You don't really want to opt for the fancy neon green or neon orange ones that you might be tempted to get. And since we're talking so much about graffiti missions, you can check out the top 5 ways a graffiti mission can go wrong. That video is on screen now for you to check out. It includes an example from my past where I almost got arrested in Australia. I hope to see you in that video soon. Until then, peace.